Welcome back to Parakletis YouTube channel, and we've been talking about the story Parakletis has. And in our last video we talked about who we are, and now I want to talk a little bit about what we do. We bring healing to the wounds of war of those who have been traumatized by the horrific atrocities of war. And so in order to do that, we identified those who have been traumatized. We have healers that we train to be able to make a diagnosis of trauma, and then we have also trained them in how to heal that trauma. So when we put together our healers, and again, as I mentioned last time, we're primarily in Uganda working with Sudanese and Congolese refugees. Our healers are trained to identify those aspects of signs and symptoms that indicate this person has experienced the emotional trauma of war. And later on in our YouTube channel, I will give a training to help you understand for yourself how to diagnose trauma, how to bring healing to trauma. So our healers will go into a community that has been affected by war and begin to build a relationship with those individuals so that they might bring to them the assurance of God's rulership as well as the healing power of the Holy Spirit in their lives. And we've seen tremendous success in this. We've been able to access communities that have been traditionally closed because of the healing that they experience. Let me give you one story. We were training a team in the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon with Syrian refugees coming over from the war in Syria. And I was asked by one of our healers to visit with a young girl, 12-year-old girl, because her father said she wasn't sleeping at night, she wasn't going to school, she didn't want to play with her friends. The classic signs of what it is to be traumatized that if you look at one of our videos to come about how to diagnose trauma, you will learn. And so I spent about an hour and a half with this young girl, and even through an interpreter, to hear her story. And unfortunately, she had experienced multiple rape by ISIS. She's just a 12-year-old girl. And so she was horribly traumatized because of what happened to her. As I said, I spent about an hour and a half with her just listening to her story and providing her some comfort and assurance that God loved her and wanted to heal her. Now remember, she was an Islamic girl. I came back about a week later, and our healer brought me up to the father of this little girl, and he approached me. An Islamic man with the full beard and all the garments, and he gave me a big hug, and with tears coming down his cheeks, he said, "After you left, my little girl slept for the first time." And then he said this to me. He said, "You are now a part of our family." And I realized in that moment, to this gentleman, I wasn't an American, I wasn't white, I wasn't a Christian, I was a part of his family. Why? Simply because I brought some measure of healing in Jesus' name to his daughter that was wounded. It's because of that ability that doors have opened up for Parakletis in difficult and closed situations to bring the experience, not just the knowledge of God's kingdom, but the experience of God's kingdom in the deepest hurts a person can have. And when that happens, you are no longer a stranger, you are a part of that person's family. Please stay with us and watch our next video as you learn the story of Parakletis, as I share with you, by God's grace and blessings, what we've done over the last 3 years. Thank you for watching.